welcome back to our news channel. In today's news, ahead of a meeting between EU interior ministers and their UK counterpart, the ministers of several European countries have written a joint letter to the European Commission urging a deal with the UK on irregular migration. But before we continue, please stay tuned and ensure you like our video. Subscribe if you haven't done so. It comes as irregular migration remains top of the agenda across Europe. The new UK Prime Minister is reportedly considering an offshore processing scheme for asylum seekers. Germany has implemented stricter border measures, and the new French Interior Minister has promised to reduce immigration by all means. Nancy Faeser, Interior Minister of Germany and Gérald Darmanin, her now former counterpart in France, wrote to the Commission to stress the importance of better cooperation on irregular migration with the UK. They said the UK's exit from the European Union had seriously affected the coherence of migration policies across the bloc. Irregular migration is top of the political agenda in all three countries. The new UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, travelled to Rome earlier in September to meet his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni, to discuss, among other things, Italy's approach to reducing arrivals of people on their shores. He noted in particular his interest in Italy's scheme for sending asylum seekers to Albania for processing. Despite its similarities to the UK's now scrapped Rwanda scheme, which he had criticised while in opposition. Germany, meanwhile, has implemented strict controls on all of its land borders, something that has ruffled the feathers of other states within the Schengen free movement zone. They've also announced they will forcibly prevent irregular migrants from crossing into Germany, something that likely violates EU law. Recent state elections in Germany have shown strong growth in support for the anti-immigration AfD party, something that partially explains the stricter line the German government is now taking. At the same time, the formerly long-reigning Christian Democrats have been rising in electoral polls and now appear to have a shot at retaking government in the 2025 elections. Several prominent Christian Democrats have voiced support for an offshore processing scheme similar to the Albania and Rwanda plans. Chancellor Olaf Scholz reportedly agreed to at least consider some kind of offshoring. In France, the looming threat of the far right has pushed the government further in that direction on immigration. After elections earlier in the year, which saw the anti-immigration National Rally Party narrowly kept from government by a loose alliance of leftist and centrist parties, President Emmanuel Macron paved the way for several right-wing lawmakers to take over the immigration portfolio. His choice for Prime Minister, Michel Barnier, is a known hardliner on the matter, having previously proposed a total moratorium on immigration to the country for several years. Barnier in turn nominated Bruno Retailleau to succeed Gérald Darmanin as Interior Minister. In one of his first statements on taking office, Retailleau promised to use all means to reduce immigration. While these developments are broadly in keeping with long-standing European policy approaches to immigration, they represent a tonal shift in public political discourse on the matter. European Union policy on irregular immigration has long focused on what is known as border externalization. Put simply, this is a strategy of pursuing agreements with other countries to have those countries prevent people from leaving their territory for Europe, or have them process asylum claims after people have been removed from Europe. Long-standing arrangements such as the one the EU has with Libya, as well as more recent deals signed with Tunisia and Egypt, are in keeping with this strategy. What has changed somewhat in recent times is much more vocal advocacy for such schemes by European leaders. In the past, EU spokespeople have attempted to downplay such deals with North African countries, emphasizing other aspects of the deals such as local development rather than the migration control aspect. Germany has long been famous for welcoming over 1 million refugees during the 2015-16 crisis. The UK's current government, when in opposition, were loudly critical of the previous government's offshoring strategy. Now, with so much attention on irregular migration across Western Europe, leaders are far more explicit about their intention to prevent people from arriving in their countries. Prime Minister Starmer summed up this approach best when in Rome to meet Meloni. Preventing people from leaving their country in the first place is far better than trying to deal with those who have arrived in any of our countries. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode of ESON Visa and Immigration News.